Hello everybody and welcome to the Little Home Podcast. This is episode 35. I can't believe we're at 35. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's wonderful to have some new viewers, so thank you so much, new subscribers, and I just want to make it very clear that everyone is welcome here. I'm doing everything I can to make this as safe a space as possible, so please know that you're all accepted as you are and very, very welcome. So today I've got some very squishy loveliness to share with you. I've got no finished objects. Actually, I've got a special finished object, one very big one, not knitting related, and 1,000,001 whips. I decided to go through my tiny house drawer of whips and show you everything that is on my needles right now. So this is every single whip that I have currently, and show you where I'm at with those in the hopes of re-inspiring myself to make some progress on them. So again, you're very welcome here. You can find me on Instagram as Little Home Designs. I've recently consolidated my 3 Instagram accounts into basically one. It was a New Year's resolution of mine to spend a little bit less time on social media. It has a tendency of taking over my life, as I'm sure many of you will understand. So I now have one Instagram account, which is Little Homes Designs, and you're very welcome to follow me there. I have also revived the Creative Naturally Ravelry Group. You've been here since the get-go, you will know that I have been through, I think, 3 name changes. 3? That's the number 3. I think I've done the Fiberkin at the first couple of podcasts, and then I went to Creative Naturally, and I'm now a Little Home Podcast. So I've updated the Ravelry Group, and I'm really hoping to use that as a really wonderful space just to chat with you guys. Instagram is good, but it's quite post specific, and I don't feel like you can really have some good deep chats, and so I think Ravelry is a really nice place to host those. So I'm fingers crossed hoping that I'll be able to keep up semi-regularly checking on the Ravelry group and moderating and saying hi to all of you guys. So please do feel free to head on over to the Ravelry group. It'll just be Little Home Podcast if you search in the groups tab on Ravelry, and I think there is an introduce yourself thread in there. And so please do go ahead and do that if you haven't already, and it will be lovely to see you guys over there. And more about the Ravelry group later, because I have a KAL in the plans. So yeah, let's get started. So firstly, I am drinking some red bush tea, or rooibos, you might know it as well. It's a uncaffeinated and naturally uncaffeinated tea, quite similar to almost like a builder's tea or an English breakfast tea. I'm quite English when it comes to tea, so Tetley's not much further than I will go, but yeah, it's really lovely. This is just a IKEA mug that I have seen fellow podcaster Amber drink from as well, which was really sweet to notice that. So I'm drinking my red bush tea to quench my thirst. It is currently the strangest weather outside. We, up until around about maybe 1 day, 2 days ago, we were pretty much steady in the 36, 37 Fahrenheit, which is, I think, 100 degrees, 36, 37 Celsius, which is around about 100 degrees Fahrenheit from memory. If I didn't say already, I live just outside of Melbourne in Australia. I don't think I did say that. And I'm English, by the way. I've been here for 8 years. And yeah, so the last day or so, it's just dipped suddenly into autumn. And last night we had 3 degrees. I think it must have actually dipped lower than that, because when my partner Tom was heading to work this morning, the windscreen was frozen over, so I think it must have actually dipped below 3 degrees. That's just what Google was telling me. But it was very, very cold, and it's real acclimatization going from basically the hottest hot down to freezing cold. And we are now officially in autumn in Australia. Autumn starts on the 1st of March. It's now the 7th, I think. Yep, 7th. So we're a week into autumn and it's really starting to show that. Okay, so I hinted at my FO for this podcast episode and I'm actually sitting in it. It's the biggest creative project that I have ever been involved in, and if people haven't followed the journey, my partner Tom and I for the last, I think, a year and a month have been self-building our own tiny house. So yes, we moved in. We started sleeping in the tiny house from the summer solstice, which was the 22nd of December here in Australia. I think 22nd or 23rd. And from that point, we were basically still building. It was only when we put in our washing machine and our fridge and our stove that it really started to feel like we were getting close to finishing. And we're marking the finished end point as last week, I think, pretty much the 1st of March, basically, when the plumbers came and hooked up our gas hot water heating and our propane oven. So I'm just looking, because I'm looking through the tiny house here. I'm sitting on our sofa area at the moment and with our lovely views, which you really can't see very much of. It's quite bright outside at the moment. But yeah, it's such a beautiful space. If you follow, especially my stories on my Instagram account, you'll see little bits and pieces of our tiny house, and I'm just so happy with how it came out. It's a little bit wonky. It's definitely handmade. We all know how that goes. There are gaps where there probably wouldn't have been gaps if a professional builder had built them. I don't think anything is square in this tiny house. The more you build cabinets and things, you realise the more your walls really were not square. So it's very sweet in that way that we built everything, basically. And my partner Tom was just incredible. I was definitely the sous chef to this project. His brain is just insane, and he was doing all of the Google SketchUp files for planning everything. If you don't know, Google SketchUp is a really amazing free CAD system from Google that I would really recommend. It's web-based CAD system for free. So we designed our tiny house on there, and yeah, it's just so beautiful. So at the moment we are living on Tom's parents' property where we built the tiny house. We'll be here for another probably month or so, getting used to the space, seeing if there's anything else that we need to change before we head on and find another spot a little bit closer to Melbourne. So at the moment we're about 2.5 hours drive from Melbourne. A little bit too far out in the countryside for me. I definitely would like a bit more of a close community. It's very rural here. It's beautiful, but I have been here for like 1.5 years, 2 years now, and I'm ready to build some kind of face-to-face community for sure. So yes, that is our most massive finished object, which is the little home. I'm very excited to be podcasting from here. This is where you will see me from now on. Probably this space or my desk. There's not too much really else to see. But yeah, it's very beautiful. And do feel free to follow along on Instagram if you want to see some more pictures of the space. Okay, so works in progress. I'm going to start from probably the oldest, just for pure accountability's sake. It is a man sweater. It is, I think, Tom's birthday sweater from a year ago. It's his 30th birthday in June. It's probably not going to get finished by then. Remind me to never say yes to doing a man sweater, or offer. I think I offered to do a man sweater. Anyway, I'm a bit of a selfish knitter, I'm not gonna lie. It's a common thread I'm aware of. So the sweater that I am making is the brownstone pullover. I'm looking at my notes just down here, by the way. It's the brownstone pullover by Jared Flood, who is the man behind Brooklyn Tweed. So it's one of the Brooklyn Tweed patterns, and it's living in my little handmade scrappy linen bag. And I have not picked this up for a good few months now, so this is accountability's sake. I have one sleeve done, and I've got another sleeve on the go. I have these saved at the moment. The reason for that is I just don't think this sleeve is going to be long enough for him. Ugh, plant's in the way. It just doesn't feel like it would be long enough. He's got quite long arms, so what I want to do is actually just check on him and probably extend the sleeve significantly before I continue working on this one. So that's kind of where I halted at. I did originally start on, I think it was the Rift pullover, which is also a Jared Flood, I think it's Jared Flood. Anyway, it's a Brooklyn tweed pattern, a men's pattern. And it was, it was an interesting one. It has these almost like, I can't remember if it was brioche or twisted rib accent going down the side. And yeah, I just was not a fan of it. I didn't like how it was knitting up. It was very difficult because it was bottom up to know if it was at the right length or not, or to be able to adjust it, which scared me, especially with so much knitting. So I switched to this one, which is a brownstone. This is Cascade 220. I'm not 100% sure what the colour is. It's this really beautiful foresty green, which with almost accents of yellow in it. Very matchy with my houseplant. Cascade 220 is a great workhorse yarn. If you haven't used it before, it's a worsted weight, so a light 10 ply. I've used it as an 8 ply before, and it does knit up a little bit bigger. I wouldn't recommend it for a 4mm needle. It's definitely a 4.5. You could get away with a 5mm, I reckon, for it. I'm using 4.5mm needles. This is just a random set of Chowgu 4.5 fixed in red lace. I actually only use Chowgu sock needles. They're my go-to sock needle. I use a 2.25 fixed 80cm cable red lace for my socks, but I was gifted these by someone who wasn't a fan of these needles, but I love them, so thank you very much, Dora. There's a little moth. Go away, evil thing. And yes, so that is the brownstone. I need to resurrect it. In fact, I'm going to put some work into this today just so I can kind of reevaluate. The next thing that I'm going to share is actually the same design as this, what I'm wearing at the moment. This is the Smaragd pullover. It's a pattern by Tweedy Sheep, who's Svetlana Volkova. This one that I'm working on at the moment is the third version of this. This was my first version. I don't know if you can see, but it's incredibly pilly and it just won't stop. This is Manos del Uruguay Fino, which is a single ply, very fluffy merino. So you can imagine why this is occurring. This sweater is actually probably my most worn piece that I've ever made, but I made it quite a few years ago now, probably 4 years ago, before I realised a lot about the properties of yarn and what yarns will do. So wouldn't recommend using a single ply merino, very fluffy merino for a sweater. Just a heads up. So I am in the process, again, this is a little bit languishing, so I'm happy to share this with you and hopefully get re-inspired. I am knitting a creamy version of this with the same modifications that I made to this one. So if you want to check out my Ravelry project page, I have project pages for all of my finished objects and works in progress on Ravelry, so it's a good place to check. My Ravelry name is Rebecca SJS, so you can find them there. So I think what I have done is I've knit a medium size, but then I have included the full chart, which means I end up with around about 20 more stitches. So you only include the full chart for, I think, the large and the extra large. You stop at a certain point for the medium. And this means that it creates this kind of drop not a spill, it's not a raglan, dropped circular yoke, and just creates more of an A-line shape. I also didn't include any of the decreases for the waist, but do gradually increase, and it's also very cropped. So I'm wearing a flowy linen dress under this, and this is one of the reasons I love this pattern, is that it doesn't bunch up under dresses, and it looks great with skirts as well. So I'm making myself another one. I really do need to finish it off. I'm just currently going round and round and round on the body. I think the reason I put it down is I'm a little bit nervous about how much yarn I have, so I think what I'm going to do is finish off the sleeves and then extend the body as much as I can. I have this much yarn left out of 3 skeins of Kokon merino. It's a South African merino. I think this is their fog colourway, which is their undyed. It's just really beautiful. I think it's undyed anyway. I might be completely wrong. I presumed it was undyed. It's this beautiful creamy grey colour with a huge amount of stitch definition. Don't know if you can see that. Actually, looking at it, I think maybe it's been overdyed very slightly. It has these little kind of pooling effects of almost like a beige, warm beige. I love it. It's absolutely beautiful. It's definitely more of a sport weight yarn, which is creating a bit of a thicker fabric. I'm using my usuals, which are a 3.25 higher interchangeable. This is their regular interchangeable set. I use these for everything. And yeah, it's creating a really beautiful fabric. The yarn has quite a high twist and it's quite springy. I don't know if you can see this. So it's very elastic and it has a very high twist, which means that it's great for stitch definition. I think this would be beautiful for cabling or anything like that. So yeah, I'm very, very happy with how this is. I really want to finish it. So kind of need to knit on it, don't I, to finish it. And this is just living in this lovely project bag by my friend Judith. She sells her bags at Maker store in Brunswick in Melbourne. Okay, sip of tea, sore throat. Okay, so the next is a design project. It is it's living in this beautiful project bag that my friend Emily made for me. It's out of Rifle Paper Co. cotton linen blend, and it has this epic high-vis pink on the inside. I love it. This project is a design project. I'm working with 2 skeins of Brooklyn Tweed Loft in their postcard colourway. I picked this up from Loop London when I was there with Melody of the Bee Mandarins podcast in October. So it's got very fond memories. And I am basically, the intention behind this was, for me, Brooklyn Tweed is not a cheap yarn, especially in Australia. It's very, very expensive. That might not be the case for the US comparative to the market, but for here it's actually quite an expensive yarn for me to get hold of. It comes in 50 gram skeins, so this is 100 grams. It's basically equivalent of 100 grams of a very lofty 4-ply yarn. I think you could get away with a sport weight for this as well, or a 5 or a 6-ply. So I wanted to create almost like an epic gift knit set. I know that there's a tendency of kind of rushing at those gift points. So for me, because my family's in the UK, I have Mother's Day coming up, and actually will probably be for my mum. But also, you know, Christmas and birthdays, and we kind of want that really special thing that we can create, which doesn't take a huge amount of time, which is a little bit mindless, but still is very usable and user-friendly. So that's where I was going with this design. I love Loft. It's the first time I've used any Brooklyn Tweed yarn. I'm a bit obsessed now, and I think I'm going to have to get my brother and sister-in-law to be my yarn mules from the US for Brooklyn Tweed Yarn. So when I last podcast, I think I showed you, I was probably partway through this. It's been about a month since I last podcasted, maybe a little bit longer. So this is the Featherful KAL. It's not yet released. If you watched my last episode, you will know that I recently published my Feathers and Bones sock pattern. And this is a very slight adjustment on that stitch pattern. It's a very, very simple lace repeat, very intuitive. I had it memorized within a couple of repeats. So yes, so pretty. I love the postcard colorway and how it has these almost, kind of creates a purple look or mauve look from afar, but you come in and it's basically kind of quite cool greys with red specks with great definition. And so this is the Featherful KAL. It's not yet blocked, but it's a close to your neck. It's going to bloom a little bit once it's been blocked, but I actually love how close to your neck it is, so it can sit inside a coat and give you a little bit of extra warmth without getting in the way or actually creating those big gaps where it's almost useless wearing a KAL. So I'm really happy with how that turned out. I can't remember if I had finished that previously. Anyway, if not, then that's another FO. I am now in the process of completing the fingerless mitts that go as part of the pattern. So it's all going to come as one pattern piece. This is the first mitt. Ends everywhere. I'm so happy with how these fit. They're a nice snug fit, but they're not uncomfortably so. They have a good amount of 2x2 rib. The thumb gusset isn't too baggy. That's something I actually really don't like about some fingerless mitt patterns, is that there's almost too many increases at the thumb, and I'm actually really happy with how this came about. And then it's got that beautiful lace detailing on the front to match. Very, very fast to knit, super simple. It's basically a tube except for the thumb increases, so you can imagine it's quite intuitive and fast to pick up. And I am just in the process of working through the second mitt, which is going to be the opposite of this guy. And then I will be opening up to test knitters. I'd really prefer test knitters to knit both pieces because it is going to be coming as a set. I do have 2 makers who've got in contact already about this just through Instagram, asking to get involved. In particular, if you are a POC maker knitter, please do get in contact. I would love to work with you as test knitters. It would be wonderful to meet you and work alongside you. So yeah, that is the Featherful KAL and mitt set in progress at the moment. I'm hoping it won't be too long until these guys will be released. I've been taking very detailed notes all the way along, so it shouldn't be too tricky for me to get that up to you guys. The hardest part about designing for me, I haven't done any graded, like obviously graded patterns yet, like a sweater or something. That is a learning curve for sure. But the hardest part for me is actually organising and editing the photos. I am my own model. I do not make good money from my designs. I do it for fun and a hobby, and because I love doing it, but I certainly do not make a lot of money, so it's not possible for me to hire a model as much as I would love that, because I don't particularly enjoy being in front of the camera. So I have to persuade my partner to photograph and then get myself ready and organise a photo shoot and props and things like that, and it's all a bit of a palaver. It's the bit I don't particularly enjoy that much. So yes, I'm gearing myself up for that again. What else have I got to share with you? Okay, my magnolia. So this is living in this wonderful Fringe Supply Co bag. Oh. Such a great project bag. I picked this up from Skein Sisters in Sydney last year. So in here is living, it's almost full to the brim, is living my Magnolia pullover, which is a pattern that was in Lane magazine. I can't remember what issue, I'm afraid. You'd be able to Ravelry search it. It's a pattern by Camilla Vad. It's now available as an individual pattern. Oh, I'm all of a tangle. Anyway, so tangled. Okay, so this is the pattern. I don't know if you can see that. You can see the beautiful lace detailing just there on the body. I've completed this sleeve up to the point of where the lace will start, and I'm working through this one. The reason that I haven't completed this sleeve yet is I just want to see where I'm at with my yarn quantities, and accordingly adjust to either a 3/4 length sleeve or a full sleeve. I'm hoping to be able to get a full sleeve out. I just love this project so much. It's been such a passion project. I love the bobbles, I love the lace, I love the twisted rib. It's a really beautiful pattern. If you can't tell, it is a circular yoke. There are increased rows within here. I love the high neckline. It's almost kind of like a mock turtleneck. It sits quite high up onto my neck. And yeah, I'm making good progress on it actually. I haven't been knitting it for a crazy long time. The yarn that I'm using is this natural coloured 4-ply Polwarth yarn from Tarndie Farm Homestead. It's a local farm in Victoria here in Australia, and they do beautiful Polwarth yarns. If you haven't used Polwarth before, it really reminds me, I think it's got merino in the bloodline, but it's very soft. I would say it was basically merino soft, but it's got a rustic, like a good rustic charm to it, which almost reminds me a bit of Gotland. Feels like a happy mix between Gotland and merino for me. And if you're not based in Australia, you'll know it's actually quite hard to get anything other than merino here. If you can't hear that, the cockatoos are just having, I think there must be a hawk around somewhere. The cockatoos have got lots of babies at the moment, and there's hawks that are flying around, and if one of them sees them, they all just rush from one tree to another. It's quite amazing. So I was saying, if you live in Australia, it's quite difficult to be able to find sheep breeds that aren't merino, because it's so famous for its merino. And as much as I love super soft merino, I actually really, really love trying different breeds. I love Shetland, I love Gotland. I've tried some wonderful breeds, but generally I do have to source them from outside of Australia, which is a bit of a pain. I do try and keep things as local and ethical as I possibly can. So that is the Polwarth 4-ply from Tarndie. I think this is their grey colourway, but it's definitely more brown, I would say. It's a cool brown. And this is what I'm holding it with. So this was a stash diving project. Having bought and paid for and built our house, we do not have much money at the moment, and so I am self-employed. So yes, I didn't have the funds to be able to go out and buy some mohair as much as I would love to, so I stash dove for this lace weight yarn. It is, what's it called? Spinning Yarns Weaving Tales. She's a Melbourne-based yarn dyer. Specifically, she started off as weaving, but she now has a lot of knitting customers as well. Lovely lady. And this is her coastal, which is a cotton and wool blend. And it's just this beautiful, dusty, mauvey purple colour. And so combining those two together, it just creates this amazing, amazing colour, which you can see here. It has a really lovely halo from the Polwarth as well, so I'm really happy with how the fabric's coming out. So I'm very close to finishing that. I do actually really want to kind of finish that off just so I have less things in project bags. That would be really nice. I'd love to hear what you guys are making at the moment. Please do share in the comment section below, or head on over to the Ravelry Group and drop me a message there. It'd be lovely to see what you guys are making. So the next oldest thing, this is a very new cast on actually. It's a new design. I cast this on last week in my little hedgehog sock bag. And this is just using Regia, their 4 Fadig, it's their sock yarn, 4-ply sock yarn. And the colour is 019991. I've used this yarn before for designs. I think I used it for my silver birch socks, potentially. I think I used Regia for that. And this is a very sweet, I don't know if you can really accurate, there we go. Very sweet, simple, ribbed sock. Well, kind of rib and cabled sock. Now I'm cabling this 3-stitch cable without a cable needle, and I'm going to include a little probably instructional video on how I'm doing that. It's very, very simple, so it is not tricky at all to do. Oh, I've got such a scratchy throat. Yep, and I'm very happy with how this is coming out. There is a nice chunky amount of rib. I'm working these top down. I'm using my 2.25mm Chowgu lace circulars, and I'm very, very happy with how these are coming out. They're going to be a heel flap and gusset, just because it's my preferred method these days. I think the fit is just phenomenal compared to the Fish Lips Kiss or German short row heel. I just think that they stay on so much better. So very happy with how these are coming out. I have a feeling, I think these are going to be called the Togetherness socks. I love the way that the paths are kind of separating and then winding together again, and separating and winding together. So it's a pretty perfect metaphor. So I'm very happy with how these are turning out. Those are my Togetherness socks. I think that's what I'm going to call them. So the final work in progress, you can see how many works in progress I've got going on at the moment, which is why I'm sharing them with you. I cast this on yesterday actually. I have a friend, Judy, who is having a little baby boy, and she's vegan, so she doesn't use any animal products. So I'm using this really beautiful organic cotton. And this is the teddy bear sweater by Petite Knit. So I have split, I've found with Petite Knit that her baby knits especially have quite tight necks, which makes putting especially like a newborn or a small baby's head quite difficult, putting it through the hole. So what I've done is I just worked backward and forward for the ribbing, added a little buttonhole here, and then started working in the round. I also had to adjust where the stitch markers are, just so that beginning of the round would lay on the top of the sleeve cuff. Top of the sleeve cap. There we go. I am using, got one more ball of this left, Fibre Natura Cottonwood, and this is their, what colourway? 41120. It's this really beautiful dusty browny pink tone. Quite a gender neutral colour, I would say, even though Judy's quite alternative with her colours and her patterns and things. And yeah, I'm really, really happy with how this turned out. It's always such an interesting experience working with cotton. It never looks as neat, I think, as wool does, but it's a really beautiful change to work with it. I haven't worked with cotton for a fair while. So I just have the sleeves to do, and then I'm going to sew on a button, and there's going to be a little embroidered teddy bear face just here. So it's very sweet. I think this is the smallest size. It's coming out a little bit big, so I'd say this would be about a 3 to 6 month baby. I'm actually going to extend the arms, the cuff on the arms, just so it's a fold over, so it will last the little guy a little bit longer. And I'm also thinking that I am going to knit a Wixton bonnet. There's a sewing and knitwear designer called Wixton, Wiksten, I think, who's most well known for her, I think it was originally called the Wixton kimono. I can't remember what the new name is. It's quite well known for that. And she has a really beautiful knitted bonnet pattern with ears, and I just think it would be the cutest thing ever. So I might have to get one more ball of this and create a little matching bonnet with ears, because you kind of just have to, don't you? So sweet. Babies, babies, babies. Too cute. And this is just living in this wonderful little cotton project bag that I got from Soulcraft last year. It's from my wonderful stash of ochre yarns that I picked up at Soulcraft. So I've got something else to share with you. I'm really excited to share that I've got a new design that will be released this coming Sunday. So I think that by the time this podcast comes out, I'll probably upload it on the same day, so on Sunday. And that is the long-awaited Restful Shawl, which is this gorgeous shawl design. I knit this out of 2 skeins of Knitcraft and Knittery in her Murphy Brown colourway. It's this beautiful, beautiful merino yarn. You can use any yarn that you would like. You'll just need around about 800 metres of a fingering weight yarn. You can also, of course, just make a massive, massive shawl and increase the needle size and the yarn weight. I've actually been really wanting to have a play at making one of these with a chunkier yarn as well. I'm very, very happy with how this design came out. I started designing this when I was back home in the UK in October, and it's a wonderful mix of garter stitch eyelets, these really sweet little bobbles, and stockinette, as you can see, with this triangular shape shawl design. And I love how the light, you can see how the light comes through the eyelets, and it's actually quite a really reasonable size. I'll show you how. This was not blocked aggressively at all, just because I wanted to keep the squishiness of the garter, and I still have a very good sized shawl. It fits very comfortably around my neck. It doesn't move. It's very squishy, very warm, but it still has its original kind of squishy texture to it, which I really like. It's quite easy to overblock shawls, I find, and they become quite kind of papery almost. And I really enjoy actually keeping some of the squish factor, which is why I was pretty determined to make this shawl as big as possible, because there is nothing worse than having a shawl where the ends come up to about here and it's constantly unraveling itself. It's the bane of my life. So I'm very, very happy with this Restful Shawl design. Again, it will be available for purchase from Ravelry from Sunday, and you can use any fingering weight yarn or yarn of your choosing. And yeah, this is my first shawl design. I'm so proud and very excited, and this is definitely a new favourite of my designs that I've done so far. I do love all of my sock designs, and I love some of the KALs I've done and things, but there's something about your first shawl design, you know. Thank you to my wonderful testers. There are some beautiful versions. If you search the hashtag LHD Restful Shawl, you'll see some really beautiful versions from my test knitters. Yeah, thank you to Amber of A Lovely Yarn podcast and Emily of the Goldberry Artisans podcast for test knitting this with me. They did a shout out on their podcast recently, and I had quite a lot of interest in this and when it was going to be released, so thank you ladies. And yeah, I'm so excited that this will very soon be released. So thank you to everyone who responded with so much kindness on my last video, which was the apology video. I've been doing a lot of learning and a lot of listening this past 8 weeks now, probably. And around diversity in this making community, and I've been thinking about ways that I can make it clear that this space is a safe space for everybody, no matter your gender and your size and the colour of your skin and your sexual orientation and all of that. I just want to make it very clear that everyone is welcome here. And so I had an idea about hosting a KAL, and I think I've only ever hosted one KAL previously, and it was a very, very long time ago, so I'm really excited about this one. I've called it the Togetherness KAL, and it's a celebration of diversity and inclusion in the making community. And so this KAL is going to be run from when this podcast goes live, which I imagine will be this Sunday, all the way through till the end of April. It's going to be a casual KAL. So if we need more time to finish up, then that's totally fine. It's going to be run through the Ravelry Group mainly, so please do go and join the group, the Little Home Podcast Ravelry Group. We'll also be checking the hashtag LHD Togetherness KAL, so the Togetherness KAL LHD hashtag on Instagram, and I'll be making sure to repost on my stories and comment on any posts that I see. And it's going to be so wonderful to get to know you guys. The aim of this KAL, there's going to be some specific rules. I would really like to have the guideline of people creating either a pattern made by a POC knitwear designer, or any pattern that's using POC indie dyed yarn. So I think it's a really wonderful way of extending our community, finding amazing POC members of this community who have businesses, supporting them financially and also through spreading the love on social media, etc. And getting to know more POC makers and designers and indie dyers online. I know that for me at the beginning of this conversation that's been going online, I had very white orientated feed without even really noticing it. And so for the past 2 months, I have been intentionally trying to find POC knitwear designers and indie dyers and makers and podcasters that I can follow, just to bring in more equality and interest and diversity into my feed online and into my life. So I'm really hoping that you'll join me with this. Again, I will be doing my best to moderate the comments, but please, if you don't have anything nice to say on the Ravelry group, just don't say it. Please don't get involved if this is not something you want to get involved in, and this is going to be a very safe space based around the things that connect us and not the things that divide us. So prizes will be available. I haven't worked out what they will be yet. They will be internationally available, so any country can take part. What else? I've said it will run through the end of April. Again, the hashtag to use is LHD Togetherness KAL, and please do tag the Little Home Designs so I can see as well. I'll be checking the hashtag as well. So yeah, I'm super excited to dive into that KAL together. I have decided that I'm going to do a design by by Junko Okamoto. I think she is a wonderful Japanese knitwear designer. I've followed her designs for quite a long time, and she has some stunning designs. I haven't yet decided which one to choose. I also want to say that the wonderful Ocean by the Sea has the most beautiful naturally dyed yarns. I followed her for quite some time now. She's a wonderful woman and mother, and if you would love to grab some of her beautiful yarns, then please do so. I'll put her links in the on the screen as well. I know that she recently did an update, so fingers crossed you might be able to grab some of her yarns as well. In the Ravelry group, I've set up a thread for the knit along. Please do share POC knitwear designers and indie dyers and businesses that you think that we should all know about. It's wonderful to share these and to be able to show our support and just find out about new amazing makers and designers and indie dyes that we may not have known about previously. So please do share the knowledge. I will also be doing the same and linking to some wonderful POC designers and all that in that thread as well. So again, Togetherness KAL starting from now, and please do get involved. It'll be wonderful to get to know you and see you there. And I think that is everything for me. Hopefully this isn't too long an episode. I like to keep them relatively succinct and small. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you are in the world, whether it's autumn or spring or somewhere in the middle. I'm sending you the very best of wishes and cozy knitting and making times. Please do comment below with what you're making and just to say hi. I love responding to you guys. I try and respond to every comment. It's the joys of being a relatively small community, as I can still do that. And if you do, if you would like to share this podcast with any of your fellow making pals, then please do so. It'd be lovely to grow this community and get to know new people. So thanks again, lovely to chat, and have a great day. Bye.